Avon Somerset Police, how can I help?
Hi, my name is Bijan Ebrahimi. My life in danger.
Why is your life in danger, Bijan? What's happening?
I've got a moth behind my door.
During that evening, someone came over and said, yeah, something's going to kick off tonight. But I didn't really know what they meant.
There's 6, 7 meters, and I can't go outside the door because I'm not safe.
You taking pictures of me?
Go out of my house.
Don't take pictures of me then, all right?
It was a shock for something as medieval and barbaric as this to happen in a tight community.
What are they saying?
They're shouting and calling me Peter Wild.
And I knew what happened would happen. I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying what they did was right, but I can see why they flipped.
How old are you? I'm a little boy.
Go.
Up to you.
Go out of my house.
The murder was described as a deeply shocking vigilante attack. The quiet, disabled Iranian refugee was kicked and punched to death outside his flat on a Bristol council estate, doused with white spirit, and then set alight.
They burnt the body.
The story, which is often told about Bijan, is that this drunk yob kicked a man to death, set his body on fire. But I can remember thinking, this isn't some drunken moment of madness. This has been going on for years.
It was a shock for something as medieval and barbaric as this to happen in a tight community. The reaction was one of, oh my God, this is a real wake-up call. Brislington is part of South Bristol. South Bristol is traditionally white, working class. It's the biggest area of deprivation in the city. In retrospect, it wasn't the right place to house Bijan in Brislington.
"20 years ago, Brislington was the place to live. I'm not quite sure what happened to it. All of a sudden, we had these white Bris written all over the pavements, over walls. Someone somewhere has got this issue that Brislington should be predominantly white. And all of a sudden, you realise things aren't as cosy in your environment as you believe them to be. It totally threw me, that one, because I honestly believe we were living in relative racial harmony.
Bijan was subject to racial abuse. He was called He was called a paedophile. They would throw stones at his plants, break the pots. They would leave rubbish on his doorstep, beer cans, that sort of thing. They'd gather late at night, right outside his front door, get drunk there. It would be a constant barrage.
Bijan brought all this on himself. He was the one that come out and started the trouble.
Stop, like, I'm at the police station now saying you're taking pictures of me, alright?
Yeah?
What are you taking pictures of me for? That's true.
He was the one that brought it on himself because of the way he was. It was never a race thing. They didn't want to know the truth.
Don't you dare take pictures of me, alright?
You come to my house.
I come to your fucking house, don't take pictures of me then, alright? How old are you? I'm a little boy. Up to you.
And the reason I turned against him because of what he did to me. Taking pictures of kids, you don't do things like that. You don't take pictures of other people's kids.
Go out of my house.
Get the fuck away with the fucking pictures, alright?
Go out of my house.
Take pictures of me again or I'll fuck you up!
I could see someone seriously hurting him, if not murder, quite easily.
Go ahead, operator.
Blackman Connecting Mobile Service.
Thank you. Go ahead, caller. What's your name?
Is Bijan Ebrahimi.
Bijan, tell me exactly what's happened, please.
One of the new neighbors came inside my door and he hit me with his head to my head. And I already had a racial problem before. Yeah.
Did he say anything racist to you?
No, he didn't.
Bijan, are you or anyone else in immediate danger right now?
I am.
Officers are well on their way, Bijan.
All right,
okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. 82.
82, I need to divert you from that job to Kent Grave Prison, over.
Okay.
Basically, there's an assault going on. Bijan, Ebrahimi. There are 78 previous from this male.
Police attended Bijan's home, but instead of Lee James being arrested or warned or some action taken against him, the police decided to arrest Bijan, even though there was no evidence or any allegation from Lee James that Bijan had breached the criminal law.
So you can imagine, this is the scenario. 2 police officers, and you have a baying mob, and you have Bijan. And he's there recording at the door.
He came to me and threatening me to die. And you let him go. Yes?
There's only us here. We haven't got any backup. If this really does kick off, it's just us against them.
No, but I want to know. You are supposed to come here to look after me.
You're making it worse. Volatile situation, man aggravating the situation. What do? Get in. Get in. Go back indoors. You're making things worse. You're making our job worse.
You are coming
You
here
are
to
making
look
it worse.
after
Now
me.
get inside.
He's not the one causing all of this problem. It's everybody else who's causing it. But the easiest thing is, we'll just move him out of the picture. And in doing so, you almost condone that behaviour. And you say to people, you can break into somebody's house, you can call him a paedophile. And I believe that that's part of the reason why the person who killed Bijan felt he could do it. Because the police and council hadn't done anything before. So.
There was a wide range of abuse. He had been covered in boiling water, by a former council tenant, which resulted in that tenant's conviction, criminal conviction. And that resulted in Bijan being relocated to another address where he was a subject of an arson attack.
So around that time, there was a lot of problems on the estate. There was a lot of graffiti, there were fires. I believe his property had fire put through his letterbox. I think his car was set on fire. My memory of him is seeing him stood on his own outside, looking a bit lost, I guess. I found him quite an odd man. I thought, to be honest, he was a bit strange. I never really connected with him. Looking back, I wondered if he had mental health problems. I know that he wrote letters to a couple of my female neighbours. I think he just wanted to make friends and make connections with people. I don't know that it worked very well. I can remember some of the female neighbours talking about Bijan and saying he'd been inviting some of the children into his flat. And there were some other neighbours who backed that up and said it had happened to their kids as well, accusing him of being a paedophile. There was no evidence to say that he was a paedophile. He was a lonely guy inviting kids into his home for company, to be kind. I don't know what it was about, but that didn't make him a paedophile. The petition said, we, the undersigned, have concerns about one of our neighbours. He's been inviting children into his property, which has concerned a number of us. Could somebody explain to him that, as a single guy, he can't invite kids into his house? You know, that people don't understand that and it upsets them. And we would like you to look into this and move this man. So I myself took it into the council, yeah. I can't remember who I spoke to, but I do remember thinking that was a waste of time. I was shocked, really, that he'd been moved so close. I thought, how could the council have moved him just up the road? I mean, rumours can follow very easily, you know. It worried me that the accusation of him being a paedophile had followed him there.
People like to gossip, don't they? I mean, we heard the stories, didn't we? So the stories went about why he moved into, for the previous place, into Cartgrave. And people weren't happy about it, because people believed the initial stories of being a paedophile, and people would weld bits on, and I always thought it was just some kind of sexual deviant Pete and Tom or something like that. No, which tied in with the paedophile stories. It was a bit creepy.
There was no foundation whatsoever to any of those allegations that Bijan was a paedophile. What they are is a mask for the harassers. They were designed to demonise and isolate Bijan, to place him as other and apart.
I was walking in one day and he was coming out and he said something and I sort of turned around to sort of like say, what was that? And he sort of showed me the picture on his phone. he showed me a picture of 3 kids. One of them was my daughter. Action. And that's what changed things with my view of him.
Because he had taken photographs of children who had been pulling plants up or whatever it was in his garden, therefore it was an excuse in the minds of the real perpetrators accusing him of being a paedophile, and there was nothing worse at the time. It was a torrent of this stuff in the nasty media, and it had become probably the greatest insult you could give to anybody, and this was completely wrongly stuck on Bijan. I do believe this was a case of vigilantes, or whatever you like to call them. People were taking the law into their own hands in an unbelievably unpleasant way.
If you take pictures of me again, I'll fuck you up! As a fucking warning, right? Right? Ignore him. Ignore him.
You hold it. Sit down. Do as you're told. Can you open it?
One only has to view the footage of the custody suite to gain a sense of how Bijan was treated during that time.
I'm trying to get rid of the...
I don't want to talk to you. I've said that I want to talk to you. If you want to talk, you're fine, but I don't want to talk to you. I'm not going around in circles anymore.
No, I'm talking to you as a friend.
No, you're not my friend, that's the point. I'm a police officer, you're a pain in the ass. Don't speak to me.
The treatment was contemptuous, disrespectful, and prejudicial. Bijan was treated like his life didn't matter.
I spoke to that gentleman.
Just be quiet for now. Just be quiet.
To just do whatever he
What
wants.
part of be quiet do you not understand? Shut up!
So you're Persian, yeah? You're born in... Is that what it says? Persian, where are you born?
What does it make difference?
Arabian.
The impression that I ended up with was of a local police force which couldn't care less about him.
Don't lie.
I just opened...
I'm not talking. I'm not talking. I've had enough.
What the officers have said is...
Completely had enough.
You had that opportunity.
I'm convinced he was just chucked in the too difficult box. Or he was chucked in the bullshit box, basically. There was a
My first encounter with Bijan Ebrahimi was shortly after he had moved into the Capri of Crescent. And the lady had called to complain about Mr. Ebrahimi. She'd been welcomed him there when he first arrived as a neighbour. Went along, offered him tea bags, milk, sugar, welcome him in, get you settled. What she got following that was his unwanted attention. She reported that Bijan had been coming on repeated occasions to her front door. looking through the kitchen window, putting notes through the door that were inappropriate, sexual in nature. She was petrified in giving the statement. My next step was I went to Mr. Ebrahimi's door and I arrested him. And we went into the interview and basically he said it wasn't him, it was her who was chasing him, but also that she'd been putting notes through his door. He was never at any time perturbed or put out about it. He just sort of sat there and he had a bit of a grin on his face while he was doing it. But it's one person's word against the other, so it can't go any further on this.
This guy, he complained for anything. I know he complained about somebody's music up the stairs. He complained about the kids playing football. It's a communal garden, no kids are going to be kids. He complained about my dogs being off the lead. So he reported my dog. He says my dog bit him. My dog didn't bite him, no, my dog barked at him. But he made a big elaborate story up. The police came to my door. I just thought I've got one of the fucking neighbours that sometimes you get in social housing. 99% of the trouble there was him. There was nobody else. But most of it was absolutely just lies.
Bijan, if you sign there.
I received Bijan Ebrahimi as a handover prisoner on the Friday morning.
Please, just don't take photographs of children.
No.
You're ended up in all sorts of trouble.
I didn't take a particular.
No, but you've got a video on there, I've watched it.
He had been perceived as taking pictures of Lee James's children. I had viewed the camera and he quite obviously looks at Lee James drinking, not the children. There was no evidence to suggest that this man was a paedophile.
Trust me, take pictures of me again, I'll fuck you up! Is that right?
I told my house.
I went to Capgrave to speak to residents. I think there were about 2 people, and by the time I'd finished, there was probably about 5 or 6 around me. So there is that sort of mob mentality. You could feel this undercurrent going on of this vigilante type carry-on. I made it very clear that I had viewed Bijan's camera and at no time had he filmed children. He was not a paedophile. But whatever you said to them, they weren't going to believe what I was saying. They had made up their minds of what he was and what he wasn't. It was a storm brewing. But nobody mentioned his race. This was not about his race, it was the fact that they felt he was a paedophile.
Was it a racist place? It was a place where racism happened. But was it a racist community? No. I don't think it was. I can think of individuals in that community who were definitely racist, and I can count them on fewer fingers I have in this hand. But did the racism happen to Bijan?
No, I'm going home.
I would have said to Bijan that PC Duffy would have come to visit him, possibly that day.
When the beat manager comes over to see you, you tell him all that tonight.
Thank you.
He's then released without charge because he had done nothing, and essentially thrown back to the wolves. And despite Lee James having threatened to kill him, he was returned to a situation which the police themselves have described as a bear pit. A clear message was sent to Lee James and the like that Bijan would not be protected by the police, and moreover, that his harassers would have impunity. And that is what culminated in the barbaric act that ended Bijan's life.
David Somerset, please, how can I help? Hello, my name is Bijan Ebrahimi. Can I speak with the PC Duffy?
And what's it regarding, please?
I think he knows that. He's supposed to come to my house to talk to me. Something happened last night. I don't feel safe here.
Okay, 1 second. I'll try and get hold of him.
When I came on duty on the Friday at 2 p.m, one of the first things I get is the email from my colleague Hen Staveley Brown. I start reading through this stuff, and then a call comes in. Road traffic accident on the Bath Road. They're asking for help with the traffic to safeguard the area. So I'm directed to go, because it's my patch.
Hello, is that PC Duffy?
It is, yes.
I've got a gentleman on the phone asking for you, a Bijan Ebrahimi.
No, you could inform Mr. Ebrahimi of other commitments just now. I'm not going to be speaking with him at this point in time.
Bijan was a priority, but not that night. He was a priority that I had set for Monday, and that was something that was agreed after speaking with Hen Staveley Brown, with my sergeant sat to one side.
They are outside my door. There's 6, 7 neighbors right now. They are telling something nasty to me.
What are they saying?
You are petrified. Don't come here. Inspector told me that Kevin Duffy is coming to see you since 2:30.
That inspector that told Bijan that PC Duffy visited him that day, that information never reached me. I never heard that. It was not communicated in any way. The only indication that that inspector would speak to me was in Hen Staveley Brown's email. He'll have spoken to you by now, but he hadn't.
259.
You busy?
A little bit, yeah, but go on.
Just that someone's called in asking to speak to you from Tapgrave.
Yeah, it should be told no uncertain terms that I will speak to him at my convenience. It's Mr. Bijan Ebrahimi. He's well known to me, and I won't be taking any calls from him. I'll see him at some point, possibly this evening, if I'm able to.
He was given the advice that if he was feeling threatened, he was to ring 999. A treat as urgent marker was placed on his address, so if he had called 999, it would have been treated as urgent. He wasn't calling 999, he was calling PC Duffy.
Avon and Somerset Police, how can I help?
Hi.
Is that Bijan?
Yes.
And what can I do for you?
I haven't seen anybody. Could you please put me through the PC Duffy?
Yeah, I did speak to him a couple of minutes ago for you. He's busy with another incident at the moment. He won't be able to speak to you.
But I told him 2:30. I don't feel safe here.
It was a Friday night, and the same old Friday night problem, stuff happens. You know, I had to make some priorities. I had a call to a verbal assault and threats made on this elderly lady. But the game changer on the Friday was the log that came in about the threats to cut off a disabled man and the son's head at the other end of Capgrave Crescent. That took my head off anything else, and I went, that has to be dealt with, and got concurrence from my sergeant as well. That needs to be dealt with.
Can I speak to PC Leon Winter, please?
Just one moment. Hello, I don't suppose Leon Winter's around.
Leon Winter is sat just opposite me, stuffing her face with pot noodle at the moment.
Well, that's what I'll be eating tonight as well.
Hello?
Hi. Hope you're enjoying your pot noodle.
I was.
I've got an Ebrahimi, sorry.
I don't want to speak to him.
You don't?
Tell him I'm busy at a job, and it won't particularly be me coming. It'll be,
Yeah, somebody else.
Yeah. All right, thanks. Bye-bye.
Hello, Kevin Duffy.
I don't know how you pronounce his name.
Bijan Ebrahimi. And I'm not going to talk to him.
Okay, no problem at all.
Yeah, I'm frustrated. I am human. I got frustrated by it. And I'm going, give us a break.
He's just saying that he's been told by your sergeant or inspector that you were going to be attending at 7 o'clock or something?
No, that's a flat lie. He's lying yet again. He's a perpetual liar. That's never been, anything's ever been manifested except in his mind, as I can tell.
Did he cry wolf? Was there a concept of that? Yeah.
He won't come tonight.
No, he won't be attending. It's up to you, sir. We can either ask that another unit comes out, or no one at all. It's up to you.
When he's coming, because I have to take my sleeping bag and go and sleep to the park, because I'm not feel safe here. I am outside the Bridgington police station right now.
I can see. Okay.
Comes, hello?
I've got Bijan Ebrahimi.
I'm sorry, I'm going to go off in 1 second, because I've had repeat calls from this man, and basically I am considering doing Mr. Ebrahimi for harassment if he keeps on calling and want to speak with me, because I've made it perfectly clear I've got no intention to speak with him tonight.
Okay, I'll tell him.
Police officers took a very unfavourable view of Bijan. He was seen as the problem, and instead of supporting the victim of sustained repeat race discrimination, Bijan was penalised and left unprotected, despite the long history of race hate crime he had suffered.
You need to go home. There's nobody available to come and see you. Sir, I'm sorry, I need to leave. You need to go home and I need to get off the line.
That summer was a hot, hot summer. Loads of people was out there drinking, smoking, loads of kids was there. During that evening, someone come over and spoke to me and said, yeah, something's gonna kick off tonight. But I didn't really know what they meant. What do you mean something's gonna kick off?
I always knew something was going to happen. We always knew there was going to be an event and this would be a solution to the problem, if you like, but we didn't think anybody was going to ever get murdered or anything like that, no.
body at the side of the road in Brislington. What I saw that night will haunt me for the rest of my life. I put my torch onto the smoking area and realised it was a body, quite unrecognisable, and I immediately raced round to Bijan's flat, and that heart-dropping moment when I saw his door wide open. The water was still dripping from the flowers on his hanging baskets.
I could not believe it. They burnt the body. And I thought, why? Why do that? Like a desecration. That sort of stayed with me. I carried it around every single day. And most of the nights as well.
The murder was described as a deeply shocking vigilante attack.
In that moment, was I scapegoated? Most definitely. They have got it so wrong. There's a white person, particularly a white man, might be a bit racist. There's a white man in a police uniform, definitely a racist. That's just too easy and an unthinking way of dealing with anything. And what's happened to me is very, very dangerous for anybody who works in any public service.
As an institution, the police can be very defensive and will identify scapegoats at lower ranks, if possible. There's others who bear responsibility. There's sergeants and inspectors involved in that up to their eyeballs, there's got to be. But that never came out. To think that a refugee could come to yeah.